Hey there, this is Andrea TheoJohn, your 40-year-old bride, here to bring you the very best tips in dating, engagement, marriage, relationships in general. I am not a relationship expert, however, I'm a human being just like you, and what I really wanted to see was more content geared towards 40-year-old brides, 40-year-old dating women, because everything seems geared towards the 20-somethings, and the 40-somethings, we're a whole different experience. And we need a whole different level of content. So here I am, here to bring it for you. And I've got my first guest I'm so excited to bring to you today. My friend here, Corrida Greene. We are both Clemson gals and sorors. We're both in the same sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha, if you did not know. And she's absolutely marvelous. She's based in the Charleston area, Moncks Corner area, and is a inventor and entrepreneur in her own right. Got several businesses under her belt, which you'll hear about soon, and you'll also see that in the show notes and in the comments below. You can find that information in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on podcast, you can also find it in the show notes area, so you can see how to connect with Miss Corrida Greene. This is the second episode in a series with Corrida Greene, whom you've learned about in video 1. Currently, she's in that phase of going through a divorce. She's separated and about to get in that space of looking to find her next chapter in life. We talk a lot about what it takes to recover from a failed relationship. If you haven't seen episode 1, go back and check that out. You can listen to it on podcast or watch it here on YouTube, and be sure to check out episode 1 first. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to get your mojo back. How do you get your mojo back after a failed relationship, especially if it was a failed marriage or it was just a failed long-term relationship? The longer it was, the harder it can be to get back in there in that singles market and start dating again. So what's involved? How do you get your mojo back? Be sure to tune in as Corrida Greene and I chat all about how to get your mojo back. I like calling this piece getting your mojo back, as I was saying, because especially when it's a divorce, and this is my first marriage, so I pray I never have a divorce situation.
Never have to worry about that. Yes.
I mean, I'm 41 now, and I've walked friends through divorces. You know, they were in that same space, and I've seen so many guys and girls, and girls, I mean, like over 20, but yeah, same thing.
Right.
So,
I know.
I see them both struggle with that mojo piece of, especially it seems like the longer the relationship has been, and the further from, especially, the further from our 20s we get when everyone's kind of single for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
People forget how to be in the dating world, and it's scary, and they're like, oh, I don't even know what to do. What do people do now? They don't know the term. They feel lost. They're like, what do they even call dating now? There's all these terms.
Right.
Are we dating? Are we steady? That old term. We're exclusive. What do we say? What do we do? And what's okay? What's not okay?
Right.
They feel weird. It's very intimidating. You totally understand it. You get self-conscious about your body because you haven't been out there for a minute.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Things happen.
Life and time and gravity.
Yes, which is real. You know what? And so this is one of the reasons, Corrida, I wanted to even start this 40-year-old bride channel, because so much of the relationship stuff and everything, and especially marriage stuff I've seen out there, are geared towards that first time marriage in your 20s or whenever, and we're just in a different space. I mean, the 40s,
yes.
The 40-somethings, I mean, we're just in a whole different, and beyond, that world.
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts on getting your mojo back and getting that power back, and having that self-confidence again to getting back in the dating world? Do you have any issues with it you're grappling with, or do you feel like, I feel pretty confident about getting back out there, I'm okay? Or what? How are you feeling?
So, the interesting thing for me personally, I am so focused on me. I hate to sound like a cliche, and I definitely don't want to sound selfish or narcissistic, but I am, and I believe this is key to getting your mojo back. Take the time to work on you, to rediscover who you are, to reacquaint yourself with your likes, with your dislikes, with the person you've evolved into to date, exploring that. In doing so, maybe even setting new goals for yourself, thinking about what you liked about the space that you're in now and what you liked about that space that you were in, and how can you marry those spaces so that you can be your best self. You can have that mojo in this new space that you're in and be at peace with that and thrive in it and be confident in it, right? So I do believe that it takes you taking some time to just really spend time with you. That's the key. I believe that's the key to the mojo. I believe that's the key to sauce, like, because how they say being saucy or having too much sauce. Like, I believe that the recipe is really working on you being whole and doing the work to becoming whole. I believe that there is a difference from being healed and being whole. And I think that a lot of times we focus on, I want to heal from that relationship. I want to heal from my past. Okay, well, you can heal from it, but have you been made whole? The part of you that you feel like you lost in that experience, have you been able to gain that back? Have you been able to step back into the fullness of who you are? Because then you've been made whole. So being happy, being healthy, being whole, and working on you, that's the recipe to the mojo, honey. And it doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are, how much money you have. None of those things matter. What matters is being grounded and self-aware and working on you so that you are progressing to your best self. Is just something about that that's magnetic.
Mm-hmm.
So even when you don't even go looking, people are looking for you.
Yes, because
That's what I believe.
you're attracting what that energy that you want in your life, by being that energy yourself. It is attractive
Mm-hmm.
to those who love.
Yes,
And so
that is the key to the sauce. One other thing I want to say, because you just touched on that, and it is becoming the person that you want to be with.
mm-hmm.
You have to become that person. What do you like? What's so amazing about, if you have this ideal person in mind or you see this person that you really admire, what's so amazing about them? Why can't you become those amazing things? And so the pursuit of your most amazing self, just like you said, it's going to attract.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
A dime, be a dime.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a whole other video too.
Another show.
Another one. I'm gonna tell you about two girlfriends. I'm not gonna put their name out there. They'll kill me. I remember one who was going through a divorce who is just gorgeous. I mean, she's
Mhm.
just beautiful, but I don't think she saw herself that way.
Mm.
And she'd known this guy since her teen years, and they've been married all this time, and they moved from Texas to South Carolina. Her career was starting to do this, and he was kind of
Mhm.
staying here around the high school
Mm.
level jobs. And
Mhm.
on top of that, when he met her, I think he was pushing her in a way to gain weight because I think he just liked her that way where she felt
Yeah.
insecure and kind of needy, for him. I remember her telling me that she used to be on the couch, and she just kind of be laying all over him, kind of, just begging for attention and affection.
Mhm.
And he would just kind of act like she wasn't even there.
Mm. Mm.
And I think he just liked keeping her in that space where she needed him so much.
Unhealthy, yeah.
It just wasn't, yeah, it's very toxic, I felt. And
So toxic.
so she did all this work and she got her little body together. I mean, she's like a little fitness model when it was all over with, but she still had that
Yeah.
of like insecurity, like who wants me now that I'm divorced, kind of thing. I was like, girl, have you seen yourself though? Like, have you
Right.
like, and so we literally had to go out. This is back in my 20s days, late 20s, early 30s. And we would go out and just hang out and do single girl stuff and just
Mhm.
help her see, like, you're very attractive. Like, check out all these guys checking you out.
Checking you out. Yes.
Just getting out there. And then my other friend, I won't tell her whole entire story because we'll be here all day, but she's very spiritual and very grounded, does everything in church. We got our friends,
Mhm.
that world very well, that does everything
Yes.
in church.
Yes,
So
I do.
involved. Yeah. Is your life, it becomes your life. And
Absolutely.
and she could do everything. She could teach singles ministry and all this and do all these things in the church. But when it came to approaching a guy or even just nicely letting him know that she just want to say hi, even say hi, just say hello. Like, it was so hard for her. She was like, I can't, you know. She just was like, I just want him to
What's
come to my
so
I just want my future husband to come to my house and knock on my door and be like, I have arrived. Here I am. Here.
poor soul.
I know. And so, like, people struggle with that. They struggle with
Mm.
being able to flirt and do it in a way that doesn't come across with the wrong message, but
Mhm.
still lets people know, like, hey, I'm interested in you this moment.
That's so true. And oh, you touched on something that is such a big deal, and that is balance, balancing our spirituality
Mm,
and our sensuality, our femininity. Sometimes there's just a huge struggle there. That's just a journey. You've got to walk it out. Like there's no step one, step two, step three that anyone can tell you. You just have to reach that place where you are ready to embrace all of you because you're human. So you want to flirt sometimes, you want that attention sometimes, you want that interaction sometimes. And so if you stifle who you are in your spirituality, you'll never fully live. So it is about balance. I agree completely. I'm all about balance. I am a very spiritual woman. I didn't want my responses to be too spiritual, but
it's all
my
good.
truth is that my center is Christ, like my being, the well within that flows and allows me to move and flow despite whatever happens is absolutely Christ. Absolutely. Without that, I know that I never would have been able to make it this far in my journey. And so that governs me in my interactions, in my communications, and my conversations. But because I know that He came that I might have life, and that life abundantly, that means He wants me to not only live in a space where I know that I'm going to live again, but while I'm here, He wants me to experience life and enjoy it for all that it is. So, with that knowledge, why would I not, bat my eyes and play in my hair and do all the things that we do when we want the attention of the object of our affection or desire, because this is who He made us to be. Like God is aware. He made us with femininity. He made us to be delicate and soft. So why reject that? I don't know. For me personally, I don't really understand. I can't really relate to women that are hyper spiritual because that's just not my truth. So I guess I can say I'll be praying for you, sis. I don't know. I hope He comes knocking on your door.
He's gotten better. We've done a little
You've been
practice
working on
sessions.
her?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
But it's been hard. I'm like, I've had guys come up to her and talk to her, and she talks about how, like, this is probably an extreme situation, but just how on nerves, just so nervous and
Oh,
not comfortable.
yeah.
So everybody, there's a range, I think, of comfortability and where people have to get back in that dating scene.
Mhm.
Because then, if you're so scared, or another issue is just your standards are so high that no one can meet them. And so you're just like,
Mhm.
I don't see anyone. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay here in my house.
Right.
And
Right.
then you're like, but I would really like to be in a relationship, but I don't see anybody. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and when people do that, I always feel like, okay, is it that you really don't see anyone, or is it that you're creating a space for you to stay safe and single?
Mm, mhm,
You
mhm.
know,
And
what is
safe
it
is
you're
the word.
creating?
Safe
Mm-hmm.
is the word because we build these barriers to protect ourselves. And
Yes.
we just much rather be in this miserable single little bubble that we apparently don't like.
Yeah.
But but it's
But
a comfortable
I was gonna
space.
say,
Yeah.
yes, it's comfortable. Like we're comfortable with it, even though we're miserable, even though we hate it, even though we want to have someone to snuggle up to. The reality is, this is a comfortable space. I know this space. I'm comfortable with this. At my worst, I can be here and it's okay. At my best, I can be here and it's okay. And so we struggle with being vulnerable. And so when we do, it's so easy to build these walls and barricade ourselves in. And it's a sad thing, but that is what we do. Yeah, we do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a whole nother topic, but you're so right.
Right.
So
Keep touching on all these different things because it's such a loaded topic. It
there's
can
so
be so
much.
things.
There's so much.
Yeah.
So one of the things I want to ask you, I'm still even processing this myself. And this is a question I've just been thinking of a lot lately is what happens to the independent woman who gets married? I know because, to your point about femininity and soft and everything, and I don't know if all this stuff is popping up on my feed and timelines now because I'm so into the relationship stuff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something the other day where a pastor, it might have been TD Jakes, was
Mm-hmm.
talking about how we've made women into men,
Mm-hmm.
and we're rewarded for our ambition and aggressiveness in the business world. And
Yes, we are.
now that's being applauded, which I don't see a problem with that,
Mm-hmm.
with achieving in that space.
Definitely
But
not. Mm-hmm.
he's saying we've we've made women into men in some regards, and then he feels like that sacrifices some of that femininity. And so, to your point about balance earlier, I think there's a balance here between being independent but also being able to be with someone. I heard of how women midlife and beyond are like the perfect marriage is where we have two separate houses and we just come together when we want to.
My goodness.
I've heard people say
It's horrible.
the perfect marriage is where we've got two separate bedrooms with a crossway in between them, and we just meet when we want to. And otherwise, I got my space and you got your space.
No.
And I've heard girlfriends say, or even married people, everybody's different, but how they've got to have separate bathrooms, because he can't see me and I don't want
Oh,
him in my space like that.
that bathroom thing. That's a real struggle.
It's a real struggle, yes, for so many reasons.
Yes.
But so I feel like there's so much to this that has yet to be unpacked about balancing those of us who have been independent so long and now we're in a relationship and we're having to maybe in my case we were married, and so we're learning new ways to be together, work together,
Mm-hmm.
where you've never really had to do that before,
Mm-hmm.
because a boyfriend or a guy friend, you could just say
Right.
goodbye at the end of the night,
Exactly.
and then I move on to my other
I
thing.
got my space. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm. I remember. I know.
And guys are like that too,
Mhm.
my last fiance, God bless him, is I remember one time we first ever hung out together and I laid out my jewelry on
Mhm.
on his little furniture, and he just hated the sight of it because he was like, "What is this doing here?" Literally
What?
brushed all the jewelry to the side. After
No.
I had carefully untangled them, they were all tangled up. I laid them
No.
out, and he was like, "What is this?" And like, I was like,
No, he didn't.
yeah. But I think,
Wow.
I didn't understand it in the moment, but now that I reflected on it, I was like, he is used to being by himself, really by himself. Like no one's
Mhm.
ever here. he worked overseas and everything. And so he was,
Hmm.
so I think that goes both ways, not just the independent woman, it's the independent guy too.
Independent guy, yes.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, yes. It's such a challenge to transition into that family life, that married life, when you're career driven and you're accomplished and you've achieved this measure of success. And then now you have to coexist with a person that it's like it almost kind of does feel like an invasion of your space because you're now having to share this space where it was like your sanctuary. It was like your protected your secret space, and now inviting someone into that space where it's that constant sharing. I think it's so important, one, when you're coming into, and so now here's where I'm really gonna get maybe a little more biblical,
All good.
um, because I believe that that's the key to it. We talk a lot about women coming into marriage and men coming into marriage. But when we look at the word refers to the woman as wife when it says, he who finds himself a wife finds a good thing. And when we look into the word concerning men, the word actually says that men should take time to know their wives. So we understand based on these two scriptures that as women, we have a responsibility because by design, we are helpmeets, we are supporters. So we do have a responsibility to come into the marriage prepared to support and aid and be submissive. At the same time, the man has a responsibility to get to know us, and he also has a responsibility to submit as well. And he has a responsibility to learn us. And so he has that final accountability to understanding what all we come with and making sure he's clear on how that connects to his life so that he can properly lead us. Because when we're independent women, how are you going to lead me, sir, and you don't know where you're going, and you're not going to lead me? That's what's going to happen. I'm going to lead myself, and you're going to do whatever you want to do. That's typically how it works out. And then shortly after that, two people go their separate ways because he wasn't really clear on where he needed to go and how he needed to get there. He didn't have a clear plan. And so when you are an independent woman, and you're with someone and you discover that they're not clear on their own journey, they don't have a clear plan, and they don't understand that they have a responsibility to take the time to know you so that they can properly posture themselves in your world too, you'll never be able to unite and really become like that power couple in the kingdom that you should be. Because with him and his anointing and you and your anointing, there is no reason why you really can't shake the earth, because that's what we're here to do. We are here to be answers in the earth. We are here to create solutions in the earth. And so when we don't take that time to really know each other, and you put with that independence, it's almost like you're setting yourselves up for failure out the gate because you're not taking the time that you need. You didn't prepare as the woman to understand who I need to be as a woman going into my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't understand that it's important for you to marry a man that knows what his responsibility is coming into it as well. So when we step into it, making it about love and not making it about all the other things that make it work, because we know that love is not going to sustain for the long term. The love is, those are all the good feelings, the mushiness, but what sustains are the pillars. What sustains is the ability to communicate, be vulnerable with each other, the ability to be flexible and understanding, the ability to support one another and not make it about a competition. When you're accomplished and I'm accomplished, sometimes it can be about a competition. So knowing you're with someone that is secure, because if my career really rockets and yours is maybe
Basic.
Yeah,
It's
well,
stagnant.
yes, or even plateaued, like then I need to know and trust that it's still we that is going forward and not just me. I need to know that you're not intimidated by the strengths that I bring into our relationship, into our marriage. Because if it does become intimidating, then that's when you begin to see men, and some women do it too, try to keep the person vulnerable. So they want them to gain weight, or they don't want them to go to those work engagements or those ministry engagements. They want to keep them away from really engaging in their world, in their universe, because they don't want them to grow past them. So,
And that's a
yeah.
fear. That's a fear for them to deal with. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. It is.
So you made me think of two things, and I promise I will not keep you forever and ever,
No,
although
you're fine. I'm
so
loving
good.
this. You're
This is so
fine.
good. One thing you mentioned is how in a marriage, sometimes people didn't get to know each other well enough or didn't take the time to really get to know them. One of the things I love about something one of our counselors has said before is that you're in the school of each other. And
Yes.
so
Ooh, I love that.
I love it so much. So I remind
Mhm.
all the time, I'm like, Mark, you're in the school of Andrea.
I know that's right.
You
I'm
better
gonna
take notes.
use that.
And then
I'm taking
I
that, sis.
to myself, I remind myself, like, you're in the school of Mark, you're in the school of Mark, like
Mhm.
it's a learning
Yes.
process. It's learning. I met this, not met. YouTube makes you feel like you know people. I
Right.
came
Right.
across this video of this couple who are faith-based as well, and they're older white couple. They must be in close to their 80s now, but they've had a whole couples counseling empire for quite some time, and they're called
Wow.
Helen and Harvey, I believe. Harville. Helen and Harville, I believe, are their names. An article I read of theirs says that there's three stages of love. There's the romantic love, which I often thought of as like la la love, like
Mhm.
our infatuation phase with people
Yes.
do no wrong. And, we probably do put some blinders on to some flags and things.
Yes, we do.
Just much rather enjoy being in that romantic la la, oh, I'm so into you, you're so into me, kind of a
Mhm.
thing. Romantic, then comes like the power struggle phase, which I think is where a lot of divorce may happen. It's not, I don't think that's the total all reasons for divorce, but also just
Mhm.
where relationships can fall down because either you figure it out and you decide we're gonna work it out and figure it out, or you say, I'd rather not do this.
Yeah.
On, so there's a power struggle phase, and of which,
Yeah.
curiously, they say even the things that attracted us to a person in that romantic phase can become the things that we can't stand about them in the power struggle phase.
Which is crazy,
Isn't
right?
that
But it's
crazy?
so
Yeah,
true.
it is.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah,
they
it can
say,
be so true.
yes, and that final one is real love, which I'm paraphrasing all this, but real love meaning we've moved beyond the power struggle. We've learned some things about each other in that
Mhm.
school of each other, and we've progressed and ascended to a new level. And I think that's that power couple mode you're talking about.
Yes.
We're really in our stride now. We've figured out how to move together as one. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
That is so exciting. I know you guys are going to be fine. I'm not even worried about it because when you have taken that time in your life's journey and you get to a place in your own development, you really, not to say that it's not possible at all, but it's unlikely when you get to that place in your own development because you know what you need to talk through. You understand what you're looking for, what's going to work, what's not going to work. So when you are that person, which you've always just been incredibly self-aware, like I know offline we talked about that one time before. That's one of the things I've always admired about you, just how you are always so aware of how you're showing up and your ability to help people and like communicate with people. So I feel like, and I know this might be going a little sideways, but
It's
I
okay.
feel like for you guys, with you being so self-aware, I think that's the last thing you have to worry about. And I know you guys are just going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to the long-term pictures of the amazing things y'all are going to accomplish together, and individually. Definitely, I'm excited about your journey. I'm so excited about your journey with Mark. So
Oh, thank you.
yes, yes. I
Well,
know that went left. I'm
no, it's all good. No, I love that. Thank you so much, and
Yeah.
I received that, so thank you.
Yes, that's so
Um,
sweet.
I hope you enjoyed this episode chatting with my friend Corrida Greene. We have so many more episodes lined up and can't wait for you to come back and hear more from our conversations about being in that 40-ish-year-old grown woman space and what's involved when you're in a failed relationship. How do you move on? So be sure to check out the next episodes coming up. I am your 40-year-old bride, Andrea TheoJohn. So happy to be here with you. You can follow me at Andrea TheoJohn. That's like Theodore Johnson, which is my hubby's middle and last name. Andrea TheoJohn on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are. And that's also on TikTok, actually. So you can follow me there. You can also check us out at 40yearoldbride.com, where you can get all the tips on dating, engagement, relationships, all that good stuff. Again, disclaimer, I'm not a relationship counselor. I'm just a lady who was looking for more 40-plus-year-old content about this world of love and marriage and relationships that we all want to know more about. So thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next time.